I love growing celery. The seeds are quite a bit on the small side, and they're difficult to place one seed in each little hole. So I kind of sprinkle the seeds on the seed starter. And then once they start growing, I will either pluck out the ones I don't want or carefully move them. And generally, I will grow about 10 stalks, and I love planting them in between the rows of my tomatoes. So when the tomatoes are done, the celery is ready to be harvested. So they complement each other quite well. The tomatoes kind of shade the celery so they don't get that tough exterior. But let's talk about celery. Hi, I'm Mary Bourne, traditional naturopath. I love sharing natural remedies with people. Natural remedies have been around for hundreds, even thousands of years because they work. Now, you may not think of celery as a remedy, but it really does have some wonderful health benefits. In fact, the stalks were a great craze a few years back in making celery juice for health benefits. And there was a time when it was difficult to even find organic celery because of this craze. And it had benefit. I mean, I don't mean to say that it was just a craze. It certainly helped a lot of people. But today I want to focus basically on the leaves. Celery use has been around for ages. They found celery leaves in the tomb of King Tut. The ancient Romans used it in culinary dishes, and older varieties of celery were a lot tougher and more fibrous, and they've since improved it so that it isn't quite as fibrous as it used to be. Still a very good source of fiber, both insoluble and soluble. Insoluble means that it goes through the bloodstream and mops up toxins. Soluble fiber actually is one that, I'm sorry, I reversed that. Soluble fiber goes through the bloodstream and mops up toxins. Insoluble fiber is something that goes through the colon, and the more mucus it has in that fiber, the easier it is for it to absorb toxins in the intestinal system and eliminate it through the colon. So both fibers are very important for health in mopping up bad fats or toxins of sort. We all need fiber in our diet. So celery is a good source of fiber, and the leaves are also a good source of fiber. So let's move on to the next slide here. There we go. So celery is used in a base in fine cuisine. In the base for French cuisine, it's called mirepoix. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's celery, onions, and carrots. They're the three magical ingredients that most French chefs will use in creating their fine dinners and meals. In Creole or Cajun, celery is combined with green pepper and onions. So it is found pretty much throughout the world as a good addition to flavor. And I absolutely love both of these trios and use it quite often because I'm not one to use hot peppers. I like the smoother taste, but I like things packed with flavor. I just don't think they need to be hot so that it numbs your tongue and you can't taste anything else. I like the flavor that tickles my tongue and not vigorously. So most of my cooking surrounds using celery. So that's another reason why I love growing it, because I add it to so many dishes. And I find that it's very healthful too. When the celery is growing, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you pack it in between two rows of tomatoes, the tomatoes kind of protect it from the sun, and so they don't get as rough as if you were growing it without just in the direct sun. Now, they used to take the celery and pack dirt around it or put something to wrap around it to protect it from the sun. But the varieties they have now, they don't do that with. And I love just stripping off the leaves, chopping them and using them because they make a great substitute for parsley. So if you want to use it as a garnish, they're really quite pretty as a garnish. They are wonderful chopped up in salads. They're really delicious if you use them chopped up in a dish because they give the same flavor as the stalk. And so it is of great benefit for your health as well as for just bumping up your nutrition a notch. So vitamins, the leaves are full of vitamins A, C, and E, also K, and the B vitamins, including folate. And so all of those are necessary for good health. B vitamins are what's called water soluble, and that means that your body can't manufacture them, and you have to take them in through food. Celery is also high in the minerals calcium, potassium, and manganese, and a small amount of iodine. It is rich in antioxidants, and we know the benefits of antioxidants help to reduce inflammation wherever we're having that in the body. And then, of course, we talked about the fact that it is rich in fiber. So recently, well, throughout the summer, I've been harvesting celery leaves and adding it to the diet. But before I harvested the celery stalks themselves, I stripped all the leaves off of the celery. Well, most of them, I wanted to show you a little bit, but how they grow on the stalk. And a lot of times, most of the time, or all of the time, when you buy celery at the grocery store, they're going to chop off all of the large leaves or the leaves in front. So almost half of the stalk is leaves, and that's wasted. It's thrown away. And it's a shame because it's a really beneficial food that you can eat and use in your kitchen. So the one way that I like to make you make use of the leaves is that I will dry them. I have a food dehydrator, but you can dry them in the oven in a very low temperature, as low as your oven can go. If you live in a dry climate, you can just air dry them on a screen. Celery leaves dry fairly quickly, which is surprising because they are loaded with moisture. So this is the celery salt that I made, and I add large crystal sea salt. You don't have to, it's not necessary. Dry the leaves and crunch them. I put them in a large plastic bag, crunch them up, and then I remove as many of the stalks, because the dried stalks at this point, are basically sticks, and they don't grind up very well. There's good nutrition in them, but they just don't grind up really well. So I remove the sticks that dry from the celery stalk, and I use primarily the leaves. Now, if you put it in a large plastic bag, it really saves on the mess. So you can put them in the plastic bag and just crunch it up, remove the stems, and then you put it in like a bullet blender. I prefer a bullet blender or a seed grinder or even a coffee grinder. But if you're going to use a coffee grinder, you might take on the flavor of the coffee. So I like to use the bullet, because then I'm not grinding coffee with it. And usually it'll clean up really good, and I won't have to worry about transference of flavors. Now you can do a lot of different things. You can put dehydrated garlic, you can put dried onion with it, and make a whole unique mixture of your own seasoning salt. But I like a base of just celery salt, and then I can use it in a variety of ways. I may just want to sprinkle a little bit of celery salt on something to bump up the flavor of it and give it a little unique flavoring. You can make your own salad dressings with this. But basically, I use this in so many ways. But one of the ways that I really like to use it is in a meat rub. Now, I've used this on pork and chicken, and well, that's supposed to be pork, not port. Beef, all kinds of meat, to roast, whatever. What I do is I put the seasoning, the celery salt, garlic powder, and onions, which is the basic, but I also have a veggie seasoning, which is dried and powdered green pepper, carrots, zucchini, squash, a bunch of different veggies to, again, add more nutrition to our diet. Now, if you add the balsamic vinegar, you want to basically add that to moisten. So it's just so that you can get the texture of a rub. And then you can add your meat inside the plastic bag, just massage it into the meat and put it in the refrigerator. I usually leave it in for an hour and a half. Sometimes I forget, it's 2 hours, whatever. And then I cook it. And I don't wash the rub off. I use that. It makes a fabulous gravy, and it really enhances not only the flavor of what you're cooking, but also the nutrition. You can sneak nutrition into a menu without people even knowing it. My husband doesn't like squash, but he eats it. He eats it in flavorings. And you can hide different types of squash. Spaghetti squash is kind of on the sweet side. Zucchini takes on the flavor of whatever you're cooking with. So you can add that to soup and all kinds of different things. So I feel that medicine is all around us. Plant medicine has been around for thousands of years, and it's generally safe because it's food that we eat. Now, you wouldn't want to make a meal out of celery leaves, as you wouldn't make a meal out of garlic. It's just common sense. So learn what you can about getting healthy. I have many videos on my YouTube channel, and I want to thank you for joining me today on this little mini discussion on celery and what you can do with the leaves of celery. Try growing it. You know, it takes a long time to grow. I start my celery seeds in early February, and they're ready to be put out around Mother's Day is when I usually try to put the tender veggies out. And um, I've just been harvesting since August. I've been harvesting the leaves, and I just last week harvested all the stalks. So I don't have any more celery growing, but I certainly have it available to me in different forms of celery salts and that. I honestly believe that food is our medicine and it can also be our downfall. And so it really makes a difference if you add good nutrition. It makes it so that you can enjoy not only you're making the food, but also the fact that you're enhancing the health of those you feed. So the purpose of these videos is to help you to understand about health a little better and how our body works. And when it goes out of balance, that's when sickness will take place. And so I have 3 venues on my website or on my YouTube. And the one is this one, which is Health to Home. And it's usually around 15 to 20 minutes long. I have Gardening with Granny, and those videos are sometimes 3 to 5 minutes. If I do a garden walk, it'll be a little bit longer. Also, I have an hour-long presentation that I call Herbal Hour, and it goes into deeper explanation of how the body works and how you can work to support your health. You know, in the times ahead, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going to be available as far as medicine goes, the availability of doctors. It's really important for you to take charge of your own health, take responsibility for what you put in your body, how you use your body, and assist those who you love by sharing these videos with them. And if you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some good information, please like it. I'd love to hear from you if you want to comment. And if you would subscribe, you will see more and more of these videos. So thank you so much for joining me today on this little discussion of celery. And health to you, and bye for now. This is Dr. Mary.